To glory in tribulation is not grievous to him who loveth, for such glorying is glorying in the cross of Christ. Thou art none the holier if thou art praised. Thou art what thou art, and thou canst not be better than God pronounceth thee to be. Man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. For not he that commendeth himself is approved, but whom the Lord commendeth. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 18. The love of created things is deceiving and unstable, but the love of Jesus is faithful and lasting. He who cleaveth to created things will fall with their slipperiness. Thou must one day be separated from all, whether thou wilt or wilt not. Cleave thou to Jesus in life and death, and commit thyself unto his faithfulness, who, when all men fail thee, is alone able to help thee. Trust not, nor lean upon a reed shaken with the wind, because all flesh is grass, and the goodliness thereof falleth as the flower of the field. Isaiah 40, verse 6. When Jesus is present, all is well, and nothing seemeth hard. But when Jesus is not present, everything is hard. But if Jesus speaketh but a single word, great is the comfort we experience. Did not Mary Magdalene rise up quickly from the place where she wept, when Martha said to her, The Master is come and calleth for thee? John 11, verse 28. Happy hour when Jesus calleth thee from tears to the joy of the Spirit. How senseless and vain, if thou desirest aught beyond Jesus. Is not this greater loss than if thou shouldst lose the whole world? It is great skill to know how to live with Jesus. Be thou humble and peaceable, and Jesus shall be with thee. Be godly and quiet, and Jesus will remain with thee. It is preferable to have the whole world against thee, than Jesus offended with thee. Let all be loved for Jesus' sake, but Jesus for his own. Never desire to be especially praised or loved, because this belongeth to God alone, who hath none like unto himself. Nor wish thou that any one set his heart on thee. It is no hard thing to despise human comfort when divine is present. Pleasantly enough doth he ride whom the grace of God carrieth. And what marvel, if he feeleth no burden who is carried by the Almighty, and is led onwards by the guide from on high. Mightily and long must a man strive within himself before he learn altogether to overcome himself, and to draw his whole affection towards God. When comfort is taken from thee, do not straightway despair, but wait for the heavenly visitation with humility and patience, for God is able to give thee back greater favour and consolation. This is not new nor strange to those who have made trial of the way of God. Wherefore one said, when the favour of God was present with him, I said in my prosperity, I shall never be moved. Psalm 30, verse 6. But he goeth on to say what he felt within himself when the favour departed. Thou didst turn thy face from me, and I was troubled. In spite whereof he in no wise despaireth, but the more instantly entreateth God, and saith, Unto thee, O Lord, will I cry, and will pray unto God. And then he receiveth the fruit of his prayer, and testifieth how he hath been heard, saying, The Lord heard me, and had mercy upon me. The Lord was my helper. But wherein? Thou hast turned my heaviness into joy. Thou hast put off my sackcloth, and girded me with gladness. We who are poor and needy ought not to despair if we are sometimes in the warmth, and sometimes in the cold. Wherefore holy Job saith, Thou dost visit him in the morning, and suddenly thou dost prove him. Job 7, verse 18. There is no better remedy then than patience, and denial of self, and an abiding in the will of God. For he is not worthy of the great vision of God, who for God's sake hath not been exercised by some temptation, and heavenly comfort is promised to those who are proved by temptation. As it is written, "To him that overcometh, I give to eat of the tree of life." Revelation 2, verse 7. Why seekest thou rest when thou art born to labour? Great is the difference between a visitation from above and false liberty of spirit and great confidence in self. God doeth well in giving us the grace of comfort, but man doeth ill in not immediately giving God thanks thereof. Sit thou down always in the lowest room, and thou shalt be given the highest place. Luke 14, verse 10. Let the least be unto thee even as the greatest, and let that which is of little account be unto thee as a special gift. If the majesty of the giver be considered, nothing that is given shall seem small and of no worth, for that is not a small thing which is given by the Most High God. Yea, though he gave punishment and stripes, we ought to be thankful, because he ever doth for our profit whatever he suffereth to come upon us. Jesus hath many lovers of his heavenly kingdom, but few bearers of his cross. He hath many seekers of comfort, but few of tribulation. He findeth many companions of his table, but few of his fasting. All desire to rejoice with him, few are willing to undergo anything for his sake. Many are astonished at his miracles, few follow after the shame of his cross. Many love Jesus so long as no adversities happen to them. But they who love Jesus for Jesus' sake, and not for any consolation of their own, bless him in all tribulation and anguish of heart, as in the highest consolation. And if he should never give them consolation, nevertheless they would always praise him and always give him thanks. O what power hath the pure love of Jesus, unmixed with any gain or love of self? Should not all they be called mercenary, who are always seeking consolations? Do they not prove themselves lovers of self more than of Christ, who are always seeking their own gain and advantage? Where should be found one who is willing to serve God altogether for naught? As for me, I am poor and needy. Psalm 25, verse 16. Nevertheless, no man is richer than he, no man stronger, no man freer. He went before thee bearing his cross, and died for thee upon the cross, that thou also mayest bear thy cross, and mayest love to be crucified upon it. For if thou be dead with him, thou shalt also live with him, and if thou be a partaker of his sufferings, thou shalt also be of his glory. For God will have thee learn to suffer tribulation without consolation, and to submit thyself fully to it, and by tribulation be made more humble. No man understandeth the passion of Christ in his heart so well as he who hath had somewhat of the like suffering himself. It behooved, he said, Christ, to suffer and to rise from the dead, and so enter into his glory. Luke 24, verse 46. And how dost thou seek another way than this royal way, which is the way of the Holy Cross? The whole life of Christ was a cross and martyrdom, and dost thou seek for thyself rest and joy? And the higher a man hath advanced in the Spirit, the heavier crosses he will often find. This is not the virtue of men, but the grace of Christ, which hath such power and energy in the weak flesh, that what it naturally hateth and fleeth from, this it draweth to, and loveth through fervour of spirit.